Hi. So, is any booktube channel really a booktube channel if there's not at least one video talking about Kindles versus physical books? Who knows, really, but I thought I would add on to the conversation because why not? So, like everybody else, I grew up with physical books, paperbacks, hardcovers. Paperbacks were my preferred preference, honestly. So much smaller, so much cheaper. Maybe not now with the inflation happening in the world, but you know. And I vaguely remember when Kindle started coming out, other e-readers, and I was looking at them and thinking, I don't really see myself being an e-reader type of person. I like the physical books, I like the covers, I like the paper. I like being able to turn the page, and it looks better and feels more cozy when you just have a physical book in your hand. And then I did get a Kindle. And I've gone through multiple kinds of Kindles because I either wanted to upgrade, or there was a color that I wanted, or I lost one. Rest in peace to my white Paperwhite. That one was my favorite and I don't know what happened to it. So with that all being said, as much as I really like a paperback, and hardcovers are cute, but paperbacks are just, Picking between the two, the paperback and a Kindle, or an e-reader in general, I'm gonna have to choose my Kindle Paperwhite, or just an e-reader in general, as my winner. But yeah, reasons that I primarily prefer having a Kindle, besides having this cute case of a cat on it. This little thing is obviously going to be a lot more accessible than carrying one book. Now this book is on the smaller side of books in general, and also a paperback. We know that paperbacks can be like this big even. This is a lot more accessible to carry. You can stick this in a bag. I have carpal tunnel syndrome and books can get heavy, so this, granted it has some weight to it also because there's a case on it, much easier to hold for me. I live in a 370 square foot apartment. I live in a box. So having the option of how many books can I put on here, I think this is the bigger amount of gigabytes. The amount of books that I can put on here versus the amount that I can put around in the studio is a massive difference. I mentioned in my last video, in my introduction video, that I just don't have a lot of space. And even with these bookshelves, a lot of it is space for decoration, although I am putting another one here soon, hopefully. I could have thousands and thousands of books on here versus a significantly smaller number around here. There's easier access to books on Kindle. If I'm browsing TikTok, YouTube, Amazon, whatever, I don't have to wait a week for a book to come in. I can simply download it onto the book, buy it, download it, and I can read it right there and right now. Or now, since you can download library apps onto your phone and then get a book onto your Kindle that way, I don't have to walk 20 minutes to the library downtown or drive and find parking and pay for parking. I can simply put it on my Kindle right here from this chair, from that bed, from the bathroom, wherever the heck I want. And usually it's cheaper to have books on Kindle. Usually the digital version is obviously cheaper than the paperback, and especially the hardcover. That is obviously not always the case. I have definitely seen books I've looked up that I want to read for this channel maybe, and the Kindle will be like almost $20. The Kindle version is almost $20, and the paperback ends up being like 13 or something, usually because there's a sale. I don't know how that works. I find that mind-boggling. But also with things like Kindle Unlimited, I just recently started getting Kindle Unlimited like about a year ago, and I have gone through so many books, mostly spicy books, and like I mentioned in the other video, I tend to only end up reading the spice parts on that, but still, with so many different types of genres in the Kindle Unlimited store, I could just read so much more. You can download up to 20 books at a time, and you don't have to wait. And of course, reading at night is going to be a lot easier. I don't want to have the lights on when I'm reading in bed. Kindle comes with a backlight thing. And yeah, if you have a physical book, you can buy like a separate light and put it on there, but that adds more weight to the book that I don't want to have, that my wrists don't want to have. This thing, I like this thing. a lot. But of course, Kindles do come with their disadvantages. They're not necessarily deal breakers or the end of the world, but you know, just some things. The feel of a Kindle is obviously not the same as the feel of a book. Sitting in a chair on a rainy day or a snow day like we're having here in Omaha, or snow week, let's be honest now, because tomorrow is gonna start back up again. There's just, you know, something about holding the book and seeing how it's formatted and the font that they choose. Yes, you can pick your fonts on the Kindle, but I don't know, it's a thing. You get it, that's why we're here. And it's nice when you have it in your bag and then you slip it out and you have the pretty little covers and you just, and yes, the ever so obvious book smell, and it's just nice. It's nice and soft, and I know some people don't like this, but sometimes I will have my book like this and it's nice. I usually prefer to do that with like books a little bit smaller than this though, because I feel like, I don't know, it gets a little bit more difficult to hold. So sometimes it's an awkward hold, and that's a con. I can be a little bit bad with charging my Kindle, especially now that I have like one cord to charge everything. Sometimes I'm really lazy. That's pretty much it with that. But also with electronics, you do need a Wi-Fi connection obviously to download the book on here. So sometimes I don't quite have the book downloaded. It's in my like list, you know, but it's not physically in the book, so that if I'm out and about somewhere at a coffee shop or whatever, although coffee shops have Wi-Fi. Okay, I'm in the car with somebody, right? I'm the passenger and I want to read. Unless I get my hotspot on my iPhone, right? So if there's a book I really enjoy reading, and then I'm like, oh no, I can't read it now, and then I have to go through the list of very many other books that I probably should have read before I bought a new one, and then have to deal with that. And then my final thing was gonna be that I tend to lose my Kindle more easily, but also sometimes I tend to lose my books just as easily. But now that I have shelves, my goal is to put the books back on the shelves, whereas my Kindle kind of end up traveling everywhere. Sometimes it's on the table that I have beside my bed, sometimes it's in my bag, sometimes I think I lost it at the restaurant and it turns out no, it was just in another bag that I didn't bother to look into for a couple of weeks. So these things tend to get lost. Now granted, that was also before I would put a case on here. Sometimes I like these closed cases. Sometimes I would have the clear case instead, and that's how I lost it. So having a black Kindle, although this is the green one now on the back, they get lost somewhere because they blend in with everything. Now hopefully, because I have this very colorful case that's blue and orange and green and has a cat, it has a coffee cup on it, and you know, other things, hopefully it wouldn't get lost as easily. Sometimes it does get lost in my bed though, underneath blankets and such. So ADHD problems, I just lose everything. But yeah, that is my take on Kindle versus physical books. I have a couple physical books. My stance now is, considering how much space I don't really have, although hopefully in the future I will upgrade to a bigger apartment, one that's an actual one bedroom type of apartment, get a couple more books that I can have. That's really nice, but I think my stance now is going to be that it would have to be something that I know I really like, versus just buying a bunch of books to buy them. So having my favorite novels, or if I happen to read something that's on Kindle Unlimited first, like I have recently read I'm Glad My Mom Died. It's not on Kindle Unlimited. I have to buy it and then be able to read it. And I actually really did enjoy that book. I relate to that, and that's a book that I want to talk about later on here in the main channel actually. So I'm considering, you know, going to the store maybe sometime in the future and buy the physical book, and then I could put it on the shelves. Right now my physical book collection is mostly gifts and then some cheap finds that I found at like Goodwill, or there's a bookstore in Lincoln that has like boxes outside of just free books that you can dig through. So that's the very tiny collection of physical books that I have that I do need to read, but right now it's just there to be pretty. But overall, the Kindle just has so many more pros for me. Of course, we are in a world where physical media seems to be dying, so that's a thing to be wary about, I think. So that's probably, now that I'm thinking about it, that's making me want to make sure I still have some physical media on hand. But for right now, this is just the way to go for me. But yeah, you let me know in the comments down below. Are you more of an e-reader person? Do you prefer physical books? Or maybe in the back of your head you do prefer physical books, but for accessibility reasons, like I said, the Kindle ends up being the winner, right? So let's have a conversation about that. If you made it this far to the end of the video, thank you. If you end up subscribing, thank you. I do have a Patreon page where there is already content about books and writing, so if that's your thing, you want to help support the channel here and the main one, you want to become a member, I would very much appreciate that as well. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you later.